Thank you. Welcome, councillors, to our July meeting of the Warren Shire Council. Declare the meeting open. Warren Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land within the Warren Shire and acknowledges the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who reside within this Shire. Council, I call for apologies and leave of application for this meeting. The General Manager has
Mr Mayor, received apologies from Councillors Van Don, Walker and McCloskey.
Thank you. Someone happy to move those? Councillor Taylor, second to Councillor Jackson. Put that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on Thursday the 22nd of June. Someone happy to move those minutes? It's true accurate record. Thank you to Councillor Jackson's move. Second to Councillor Drews. Councillor Jackson.
Commend the minutes. I have no comments on them.
Any comments, questions regarding the minutes of the June meeting? Nothing further. We'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to disclosures of interest. Are there any pecuniary or other disclosures of interest in the forthcoming matters that we'll discuss? Councillor Hill.
Yes, thank you. That would be, under item 7 on the agenda, the meeting of the Airport Committee. And also under reports of the Manager Health and Development Services, the item related to development applications, item 1.
Thank you. So 2 matters, Councillor Derrick.
Yes, thank you.
There are minutes. Move on to item 6 on our agenda, report of the committee. First of those being the Airport Operations Committee. We can remove it. The second to that, Councillor Taylor, moving recommendation, but
moving recommendation point 1, but just as an adjustment to point 2, if the General Manager can flag that figure.
Mr Mayor, since the Airport Operations Committee, staff have been doing a fair amount of work in relation to the costings for the final costings for the terminal building, and 530,000 requests from Infrastructure Reserve is not quite enough. It actually needs to be 550,000. $550,340, which is $20,340 more. So we now know pretty close to being exact. Now that 20 grand is within the contingency, but we want to have a contingency just for other things that might happen. So that's why an increase to 550,340.
So with that adjustment, Mr Mayor, I'll move the recommendation to change that dollar figure.
thank you. Those to move it. Is happy with that? Sorry, who do I have to second that? Councillor Drews. You're happy with that? The change in the recommendation?
Yeah.
Moving the dollar amount to $500 and
$340. 550,340.
Councillors, I think this has been something that's dragged on a little bit. The plans have been circularised. The Airport Committee are happy with that, Councillor Taylor, I believe. Is that correct?
That's final to sign, I think, which is come upon a couple of extra windows went in there for the proposed flight train on board of the school, so to give you a visual of the runway. So we think that's a pretty good design. Also, that obviously part 1 that we've got a local contractor to engage. I think it's a big plus for us if we can try and move on rather smarter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor,
Just a quick question. There are no legal implications relating to sole sourcing
Yes, and
No, it's all part of the resolution, allows you to do that.
okay.
Yep. All 100% kosher.
So what? Sorry, Councillor Taylor, do you?
I just get the building, I was just want to bring up a side issue, that was all. If there's any more questions on the building.
I think this has been backward and forward a couple of times. The question here at the moment is, are we willing to contribute 550,000 from the infrastructure reserve to see this building completed? That's the question we're dealing with initially.
Just to speak to that, Mr Mayor, between a rock and a hard place, we don't build the terminal, we don't get the $800,000 grant, which was part of the condition, so I think 550 sees the end of the project and makes that a workable situation out there that will give us some return with the flying school going in there.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding that part? Then Councillor Taylor, I understand that's a different matter to just raise. Councillor Taylor, again, another.
With that, again, out there, of course, with the fuel cost. Currently, our fuel cost sits around about second in Australia. That's on fuel charge, second only to birds fuel. It's due to the cost of the fuel, obviously, plus our 20% put on it. It's a problem, being that, you know, given that someone puts in 200 litres of fuel, it's extra $80, so they're going to go to Ningen or they're going to go to Narromine or whatever the fuel up, therefore ours is not getting used. The other point with that is that we bought the 10,000 litres at the spot price at the time, and the sell price at the moment reflects that at $3.14.9. I would like to see that, probably I'll propose a motion that we reduce the cost of the sell price out there at the moment for this amount of fuel we've got remaining only at a break-even point, just to get rid of it. And to explain that a little better, if we don't get rid of that fuel within 6 months and don't put any top-up in it, we'll be up for recertification of that fuel tank, which will cost $5 grand. So we need to get rid of the fuel, we need to negotiate a better price, and negotiations are underway with the IOR chap that's in charge of it out there to get us a better price, hopefully next time we can sell it at a competitive price. So I'd like this meeting to put another motion there. If we could sell, I'm not sure what that price will be through the general manager, reduce the cost of the sell price, just to get rid of that fuel we've got at the moment. Therefore, we can purchase at a better price and have a better bowser price for the users, hopefully more users.
Councillor, we probably need some wording for this so that we're all clear about what that is. I think that the point to make though as well is that we need to break even on that fuel. Is that your intent as well?
It was a break even comment I made there, definitely not a loss.
So
the break even that was
At cost.
Yeah.
The council reduced the cost of the fuel price for the current fuel to be at cost to allow selling of the last load before recertification is required.
Yeah, of the fuel on
avoid
Yeah, fuel on hand. The council reduced the cost of the fuel price for the current fuel on hand to be at cost to allow selling of this last load before recertification is required.
necessary.
It's necessary.
Councillor Brewer had a question, comment, and then Councillor White.
I've got a couple of questions. First of all, selling at cost and break even, I think, are two different concepts in this. And in this chamber, in the past, we've discussed the inspection costs that are required a part of that installation. And so we need to be clear about what we're trying to do here, whether we're selling the fuel at the fuel cost or we're selling the fuel at break-even cost for that facility. So be clear on what we're doing here, because if we sell it at cost fuel, we're actually losing money. So let's wait, but when we decide what we're going to do in that, that's the implication. We're going to lose money on that fuel. Secondly, if we're the dearest fuel, some of the dearest fuel in the state, then we're not buying right. Something's going on. Okay, so we're just ordering it. It looks like we're ordering it, just turns up and we pay whatever, you know, whatever we charge. So we need to do some negotiation there. So whoever's in charge of that needs to be a little bit sharper on their negotiating skills, because they'll charge top dollar. Of course they will, if they're not asked. Ask for a cheaper price and you might just get it. So there's something wrong with that. And the third question is, and I don't fly, but how they don't land and find the price out and take back off. So how these prices are promulgated somehow, so the pilots know before they take off from somewhere what the fuel prices are. So when we do this, how long does it take to filter that price back through the system so that those pilots who are looking at our $3 and whatever it is can see the new price and start consuming?
Almost straight away. There's fuel apps, and we actually provide advice to the world about fuel price.
Right.
So yes, for your second one, needs to be done better, and it's at cost, because there is a bigger cost if we have to recertify. It's at cost. It's the cost of the fuel, which gets us a reasonable price to get rid of that quickly, so we don't need to come along and throw $5,000.
Sure. My single point to that one, Mr. Mayor, is we will lose money on that facility whilst ever we have this price in place.
And it's only for that load. And then hopefully it's back to a much better renegotiated price for the next load. It gets us still within reason of everyone else. Very, very beginning, at the time of making the decision for price plus 20%, that even put us below Ningham. But Ningham must have been, so it's not Bowden Shire, it's actually IOR at Ningham. IOR at Ningham must have got a very, very good price of some loads of fuel which they've been putting in. So it's at cost, because there could be a greater cost of a $5,000 top recertification, and we want to get rid of this expensive load. And it's only for this one expensive load. It's back to being our charge to try to cover the normal costs of testing and et cetera.
But again, Mr. Mayor, that tank won't get to zero. So there'll be fuel in there at a higher rate. So at some point, you've got to pull a lever and buy cheaper fuel and shandy the price of that in there. So whilst conceptually I agree with what we're doing, it needs to be managed, as you can understand, because there will be fuel left in that tank when we need to top it up. So we need to do something clever. If we get the new fuel, put 20% on top of that, we are still likely to be dearer than our peers, because we will have some of the more expensive fuel in there still. I'm happy for you to manage all of that, but it's going to be a while before we're back in the black on this fuel.
Yep, point taken, absolutely. And I think it's a matter, Councillor Brewer, that the airport committee will need to consider how this ongoing management occurs. Obviously, there's others who can buy much better at the moment, and take lessons in this. Yes, as I think that's. Let's just deal with this single issue at the minute, and then move on with a much more strategic, business-oriented approach to how we make.
And can I ask that at the next council meeting have a report on the fuel and fuel costs and how we're tracking them with it, if you don't mind? Can we do that? This has been, we talk about this a lot, this fuel price, and we still haven't got this right. So it's a concern.
I think, my understanding is that it's a 14,000 litre tank, and when it gets down to about 4,000 litres, that's when we top up. So I think it's, how much units, mate? 7.5, 8. So it's big to go to just get rid of it back down to the 4, and then we
Go again.
go and then work it out. But I think we just got to bite the bullet. But it's not like we're biting the bullet on the whole 10,000 litres. Yeah, right. It's only effectively it's going to be 3,500 litres to get back to the 4, and then we hopefully buy at the right price, and then and take your point again. It'll take a while to come out the break again, but I think certainly do it better.
Okay.
So, Councillor Taylor and Councillor Bruce, you're happy with the really another item. It's not the airport terminal progress so much, it's the with fuel. So just an item 2. Yeah.
The council reduced the cost of the fuel price for the current fuel on hand to be at cost to allow selling of this last load before recertification is required. Taylor?
Yeah, Councillor Bruce. Councillor Kinsey, I think you had a question.
Yeah, on the fuel thing, how many actually potential deliverers do we have? Like
Only one at the moment.
Island, for argument's sake, and there's a few others around here.
Only one,
IRR, is it? Really?
till the 25th of September next year. 24, I think.
There you go. So that's what
Mr Mayor, we did a spot check, and they are cheaper than everyone else too. They're the main aviation fuel supplier around here.
yeah. Thank you.
Just we need to negotiate harder with them to get it.
That's the issue. Councillor Whiteley, do you have a question, comment?
That's my other comment, that if there was 10,000 litres in there, the 5,050 cents, but most of the IOR depots around the country on no expert on the aviation ones, their telemetry set up and their prices changing daily. The problem we'll always have is throughput. While your throughput's down, the next load might be dear and we make profit, but if with a small throughput like this, I'd last year to investigate putting the technology in there that the IOR pricing is daily, and then you put your loading on top of that.
Take it on board. I think it's a matter for serious discussion at the Airport Operations Committee, just to get some information and a sensible way forward. But at the moment, we deal with what's in front of us, and consider the motion that's in front of us coming out of the discussion. So, councillors, there's essentially 3 pieces of information for us to vote on here. Are there any further comments, questions regarding the Airport Operations Committee, regarding the acceptance of a variation, the dollar amount, and the third matter relating to fuel? Anything, nothing further? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to our second of the reports of the committee, that being the meeting held on the 18th of July. Someone happy to move the minutes of that meeting? Thank you, Councillor Whiteley. Second. Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Whiteley.
Recommend the report to council and ask the gentleman if he would like to comment on any of those matters.
Okay, Mr Mayor, we've got some actually recommendations to the council from minutes this month. 4.1.7 is actually tidying up what we've done in relation to the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program Phase 4. Because one project, the generator and light, emergency lighting generator out of the airport, is not applicable in accordance with their guidelines because it's not used by the community supposedly. We've had need to move money about to fund it by elsewhere and put those projects that are applicable into the local roads and community infrastructure. So that's that A, B, C and D. The draft work health and safety policy is taking into account the amendments required for psychosocial hazards and psychosocial health to be in line with the Work Health and Safety Amendment Regulation 2022. And we're just doing, if you have a look at page 4 in the engineering department, we're just trying our hardest to try to explain the flood damage restoration works, where we're at to with certain funding, and we've also tried to expand that out in the roads progress reports as much as possible. And we're welcome some questions on it if you need any more clarification.
Thank you, Councillor. So those 4 matters that have been moved, they were budgeted for in our ordinary budget, and so I'm just doing a swap of what's eligible and what's not in terms of local roads community infrastructure project grant funding. So we just want to obviously comply and get the most out of that funding as we possibly can.
And Mayor, so we aren't looking silly. We're having to do these things, supposed to tell the Commonwealth before the 1st of the 7th when they're going to approve it, without the guidelines, assuming the guidelines are going to be like phase 3. They're just being a bit harsher on what's community. And fortunately, we just can do that and because some of the things that were budgeted as normal infrastructure funded works are applicable as well.
Thank you for that.
Gentleman, Mr. Mayor, can you explain to us AGRN 1034 time lapsed? What's that all about?
The work under that subcategory was supposed to be completed by June 30th this year. We got the approval to do the works late, so we couldn't finish on time. So that's what I mean by time lapsed.
So where does it leave us with that in terms of funding for those roadworks?
So the money under that subcategory has been commuted into AGRN 1034 EPA RW. So a submission has been submitted. So all that money that was left under IRW is in that application.
And in your opinion, does that make that equally or less likely to be approved?
I am sure it will be approved because I had spoken with Transport Minister before that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think, Councillor Bull, the issue was that we had flood damage, a dry period flood damage, and so lots of these things were one after the other. Some initial assessment was done, and where does that actually fit into which category of flooding, and then no chance to do the work, obviously. So that's what the Division of Engineering Services has been talking with Transport about, just so that they sensible decisions made. You know, we've only had relatively 6 months to do the work that was.
And I think we only had 3 months to actually try to do 2.3.
Yeah. As you can see,
No.
Mr. Mayor,
I was going to miss out.
Only one. Understand. The bench engineering service is very mindful of this, Councillor Brewer.
Three of us will be down to the Minister for Emergency Services next day.
And yeah, we really push the works. As you can see, we did significant works on the Dollar Road and Colline Traffic, and we started Matagai. So within that short time, we achieved.
Wombiana Road is much safer than anything that way as you drive to Dubbo, so that was one of the lower priorities. So I think Wombiana and Corinda Road is the other big one. There's 900,000 on the Corinda Road.
So, Mr. Mayor, under 1034 PPA RW, you can see there that the first package that was submitted. So that first package includes all those 5 roads: Vidora, Colline Triangle, Matagai, and Corinda, and Wombiana.
Thank you for that. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the management? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, and excuse me if I have missed this somewhere along the way, given that this particular, the draft work health and safety policy, which is the start of amendments to ensure we comply, has council engaged a specialist, either risk or HR, to lead this project, given that potentially council doesn't have expertise? Or does council have someone working within its ranks currently who has expertise to oversee this work and make sure that it's robust, given that we have attracted the attention already of a regulator? Needs to be done properly.
The senior management team in the Work Health and Safety Risk Coordinator, but the training is going to be done, I think we've engaged our EAP provider to do it. Who's the expert?
And through Mr. Mayor, will that person be inputting into the policy?
No, the policy just needed to be changed to actually say that we actually consider that particular risk. That's the only real change, which Safe Work Mr. Wiles has been happy with.
So just one more question. So there's no procedure within council. So what are you using to train people? Do you have a procedure that people can, do you have like induction training?
We've got draft incident, so above that on page 6, in the middle of page 6, we've got a draft incident reporting investigation guideline and a draft managing psychosocial hazards procedure, and it's going to the Work Health and Safety Committee for the consultation and final check by the Work Health and Safety Committee. But Safe Work Mr. Wiles are happy with those 2 documents, but we're following the process of making sure that, and on Monday, for example, we're doing some survey work with all the stuff.
Any further comments or questions regarding the minutes of the management meeting? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to delegates' reports. The first of those being the meeting of the Interagency Support Services. I want to move that. Councillor Derrick, happy to move. Second. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Interagency meeting was held on 8th of June. Councillor Wolf did a great job capturing all the notes from that meeting. I guess one thing that we did spend considerable time speaking about was the issue of mental health in younger children and the lack of services for children under 12. So that has been identified as a gap in what is being provided here in Warren. And Open Others has been doing some work on that since the Interagency meeting, and I did have the opportunity to mention that also to Royal Doctor Service when they were next to us at the Narrow Field Day last weekend. So that's something that's become quite an area of concern, and something that I certainly wasn't aware of until it was brought to attention in that meeting. So that's something that we will continue to work towards and support getting those services here in whatever way the interagency can. The next meeting will be held on the 10th of August. Happy to take any questions about anything else that's mentioned that afterwards.
Councillor Bruce?
Yes, just a comment on here, from that meeting, Councillor Walker was, talking about the health, the WAC committee going to a meeting, regarding that fundraiser in September at Nevertile Hall. Any monies, that are raised, we're still, it's not concrete what that will be going towards yet. We're actually having a meeting with Jenny Beach from the RFGS next week. So, yeah, but just on that, I hope everyone supports that, Mike. It's important to make sure that they know that the community is supporting them. Yeah. Thank you.
Councillor Derek, and I'm not, my mind is not right across this. There's a $50,000 amount to manage health and development per grant funding. Is that coinciding with the mental health that you're talking about, the under 12s? I don't know who to, I'll defer to the manager of development for a second and then, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, since the interagency meeting, I did meet with Kelly Sinclair from the Warren Youth Group, and they were successful in getting $50,000 under the targeted early intervention for the purpose of engaging counsellors and the like for children in the Warren government area. So yeah, so that is for that issue. Yeah.
Thank you. So can I just clarify, is that for under 12s or?
Yes, yes it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Both covered off potentially in a minute. Thank you. Any other comments, questions regarding the minutes of the interagency support services meeting? Nothing further. Put that all in favour. Against, carried. Second, while delegate reports related to the mining and energy related councils. Someone have to move the minutes of that meeting. Councillor Whiteley, happy to move. Second. Councillor Derrick, Councillor Whiteley.
The minutes are in front of you. I see on note that we were apologies to the movement. The minutes are there above.
Mr. Mayor, I was able to attend. It's a standard meeting. That they are actually attempting to try to have a few more meetings based in Sydney at Parliament House. Unfortunately, at the time, our delegates aren't available for the next one. But I'm watching with interest because with the amount of solar and wind developments that are starting to happen in our area, this and organisations around this are going to be important because the Golden Highway out of Newcastle coming our way, this way, and that's to some of our local council close neighbours is just going to be unbelievable. And if we can't pick up staff at the moment, just wait and see when the construction phase of all these new developments start to happen. And at the same time, inland rail will start again. Time to be in the workforce with this. There's billions of dollars worth of power line work happening, let alone these developments. So the development pressure on a few of us around here is going to be unbelievable. Not as much us, but it still could affect us.
Just because the likes of the Munchies of the world are just going to have significant population pressure. Where are they going to house all these people? Where are they? How they deal with the water that's going to be required for these people, the sewage, all those other things. You know, they're talking significant influx of population, and they've got some real challenges. But nonetheless, will probably impact us on just terms of availability of people to fill positions. You know, just that much more demand.
Even the contractor costs.
Yeah. So we better get as much done as while we can. Yeah. Any further comments or questions regarding the minutes of the mining and energy related councils? Nothing further. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to our policy area, we have one item of policy to consider the updated corporate credit card policy. Someone happy to move the recommendation for that? Thank you, Councillor Brewer. Second, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Brewer.
I'm happy enough with the proposal, Mr. Mayor. I just have a question about the policy. Whose responsibility is it for claims that are overdue, like late payment fees? I've had a look at this. I can't see where an individual is responsible for not doing their acquittal on time. There's no time frame in here. We've got something on that. What's the policy? A lot of blank stares.
We have a monthly direct debit facility. So whatever the spend is on individual credit cards, it's taken straight away. So there is no late payment.
That's if the acquittal's done, but what if I'm a credit card holder and I forget to submit my monthly acquittal, then I get a late payment fee. Am I responsible for that late payment fee?
So the credit card gets repaid regardless of whether we account for it in our system. So when we account for it internally, we're not making payment to the bank for what that expenditure is. It already happens automatically. We're just basically recording an expense on our side. So when the direct debit happens from the bank to pay, say if I had a credit card, I spent $5,000, the direct debit would happen automatically and take that $5,000 payment. Now, council will have shown the expenses related to that. So that's where the monthly acquittal process comes in. So the policy outlines strictly that it needs to be reconciled every month. The flexibility of following that up is, yes, we can certainly put a time frame around it and say they must be returned 7 days after the end of the month, or, yep.
Well, it just says, section 4, para 7 says, comply with the timetable for card account acquittals issued from time to time by the Divisional Manager of Finance Administration. I'd argue that you can tighten that up a little bit and say, you know, acquitted fortnightly. I mean, I'm going through my own experience here, acquitted no less than fortnightly or something like that, or else you forget, for one, or you forget details or where you put that receipt or those sorts of things.
Happens. Most 99% happens over the day. When I do it, the mayor gets his sheet to sign off on it with the thing most of the time.
I'm sure you're diligent. We're increasing the number of people with cards here, for starters, so there's new people who do it. I know you don't like it.
I'd be happy to take that on board.
Well, I'm not saying do it, I'm just saying there's a loophole in here where I don't have to actually be held to any time frame. If my bill is paid, regardless, and I'll just get around to it in terms of acquittals.
The process, at every time we make a purchase with the credit card, we have to fill out, there's a form that we have to fill out and attach the receipt, and cost it out and get somebody to approve it and sign at that point. So yes, I guess even with that, there's always, could be, might not happen now, but it could be the case where you have somebody later on with a credit card that might not give that a priority and keep it sitting in the desk. We're fortunate that our creditors clerk routinely chases all of that up. Staff currently are diligent in submitting them, but certainly if you can tighten it up, that's... I'm
not saying do it, I'm saying there's a... Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that. Obviously, I'm not going to get anywhere with it because most of those people I'm talking to have credit cards and don't want to have a crack at it. But My personal experience is that if you keep it tight and you have some nice firm rules around it, it gets done on time and no one.
Operational rules are already there. You come every week and they're all sitting there waiting for you. And just myself, people have to use my credit card purchases in this, and 99.9% it's done, and I'm signing it that day. And same happens with each and the reason why there's an increase is because the managed health and development services has just as many staff as and training stuff, people going away, little things, and there's so much that's used for credit card nowadays.
No question, that's not what I'm asking. You happy with that? That part of it's fine. These are necessary, and I know that things are dearer and your limits need to be increased from time to time or at least reviewed. I'm happy with that. I'm just questioning the rules around acquittal.
Deputy Mayor and I
You're happy? I'm happy.
make sure that the Mayor does it on time.
Certainly, just to cover off, I'm writing it down now, so I'm happy to have a look at that. Certainly wasn't a case we're against it or anything like that, from my perspective at least. If it's in there and people aren't compliant, the idea of it, the policy and procedure in place is a measure of control. So for sure, especially given the scrutiny across the sector with credit card use, it'll be just a case of what we feel would be reasonable, I guess, but I think, off the top of my head, maybe 7 days could be easily achieved. It's not too high use, and we have other things there to sort of cater for it, so.
Cool, thank you.
We don't need anything left to it. No. Thank you, Councillor Brooke, for that. To be dealt with by the Municipal Finance Administration, so. Any further comments, questions regarding the policy matter, the updated corporate credit card facility? Nothing further, put that, all those in favour? Yes, carried. Moving on to the outstanding reports checklist, the first of those being the reports of general manager, the first of those being the outstanding reports checklist. So I'm happy to move those with the number of asterisk items there. So I'm happy to move the updated outstanding reports checklist.
Councillor Whiteley.
Sorry, Councillor Whiteley, second. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Whiteley.
I commend the report to everybody and ask the General Manager to lead us through this.
Mr. Mayor, only a couple have been done. So page 10, bottom of page 10, we've written to the Treasurer, the Mayor's written to all those people, and we're starting to get back correspondence, which I think I've been making sure that all the councillors have been getting. We're just very, very lucky that we haven't been hit with a huge increase. Top one of page 12, the standard flexible working hours agreement has been reviewed as per our council resolution for a 12-month period, and we'll talk to the road staff again in early May. The top, so page 14, the middle one, there's part of it has been finished. It's all done and dusted, and I think we're just about to put together the final document. Is that correct? Final document. Bottom of page 17 has been completed, which is all the spare pump and sewer matters. Lots of things are starting to happen. Town services, you will notice all around the place. Now we just get that last little 5% of a project complete, which is the hard part, always. Bottom of page 24, we've That's finished because they've been engaged, waiting for the DA that's now in with council. Bottom of page 25 is complete. Local dealers have been advised. And that's it.
Any comments, questions? Item 1, thank you, councillor Brewer.
About the river pumps and the river level too high and those sorts of things on page 17, 27.5.21. Are these on, I mean, these are ongoing. What sort of works are required still to be done on these? Is the river still too high for them?
There was a small window that we missed, I believe, not 100% certain, but don't forget, I think they now started some watering, some funny stuff right at the moment that might relate most probably to environmental. And so we're watching carefully. It's actually pulling the gear out again, and it just can't quite do it yet.
What effect is that having on the river water supply? None, I should think. Is it?
Well, we'll cross fingers that the work's not having something going wrong underneath, because it's really pulling out, adjusting again, and getting everything right, instead of sitting in the same angle, same location like it's done for the last 4 or 5 years.
Is one pump still out, or?
No, I can't tell you.
Just with summer coming up, I think that's a bit worry.
Take it on, those councillor, you can just check that out and
Allen pumps have been installed.
yeah, just check exactly where we are. There were some new bore pumps ordered and that's been completed. It's just a river pump. I think councillor Higgins is alluding to those river pumps.
Now, is that the pump?
Yeah. I think there was some work to be undertaken to realign those pumps, was there not? So the bearings, the so that's the bit of work we're waiting to see completed, is it not? Is that what
I believe so.
Yeah.
And making sure the pumps are the same type of pumps.
Yeah, so that we can interchangeable, yes. If we've got a chance of mine too, just to get an update, manager of engineering services, just to find out exactly where we are with those. Yep, that would be good. Thank you. Councillor Whiteley.
Would the general manager comment on where and any movement on the Foster quarry?
Divisional manager will comment progress so far.
Mr. Mayor, yesterday we had a meeting with Neil at Moving, having sent them the draft agreement. So they had a few questions that they needed to clarify with us. So we have to clarify all those questions. So now next step is for them to go back and give us some figures that are required in the agreement. And then after that, we'll present the final agreement to the planning committee, and then it will come to council.
And there's a chance, Mr. Mayor, that we got some information to help them, and we're waiting on some information from the government department that needs to be added into the equation. And so there's a chance that it won't go to the plan committee next week on the 8th or something. Yeah. So it'll be another plan committee.
And that is progressing. The idea is to end up with a mutually beneficial agreement so that everyone wins out of the situation. Our quarry is being used, mills go well, but we go well as a result of the quarry have an advantageous position in terms of buying materials.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion, that we need to make sure that we're coming out in front.
Yep. in the negotiation stages, Councillor Whiteley and Plant Committee will be the forming which that's come to light. The Division Manager of Finance Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, just to, after having a quick look following Councillor Brewer's theory, I was sure from memory that there was something worded, just wasn't sure where it was. In Appendix 2 of the credit card policy, that does list, so we have an individual.
I'll let you think up to Division Manager of Finance Administration. You can't go back in the meeting agenda.
Okay.
The matter's been discussed.
Come in the morning too.
Yeah, just, I think you might update it at morning tea to Councillor Brewer.
Understand. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Brewer.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to hang this off economic development strategy and action plan for public exhibition. I was in the Service New South Wales office / council front desk yesterday. I saw a document there for public exhibition and marked as front counter. I wonder whether we should have a notice board or something to make those documents more accessible. It was under a stack of other papers and the high school, the public school newsletter, and it was just randomly stacked under there to keep it all neat and tidy, and that's completely fine. Can we have a think about how we display those? Because I don't think, it looked brand new to me, and I'd be very surprised if that's been opened on the counter. And that's one of the places where some people would be able to access it. Can we have a think about how we display those? Because whilst it, from all intents and purposes, it's on display, it's just not accessible, in my opinion, anyway. Yeah. We get little enough correspondence back from these things as it is without hiding it under a stack of other school newsletters.
Before the front desk was reconfigured, there was a thing that you would put
with headings
across the pamphlet, and I think that may be something that
it's trivial, but I mean, if you want people to read these things, we've got to make them available.
Easy to say. Trigger their mind. It's not at top of mind for a number of our residents. I would have thought Councillor Brooks. So yes.
Just trying to get someone to read them.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the outstanding invoice checklist, item 1 of the Division Manager, the GO Manager's report? If nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 2 in recognition of Warren being a healthy town and people awareness of a healthy lifestyle. Council will be standing while dealing with item 2, the General Manager's report. And that pertains to the committee and delegates meetings. Someone happy to move that list of Councillor Jackson's happy to move second list of meetings? And thank you, Councillor Kinsey. Councillor Jackson.
I have no questions that if the Mayor or General Manager would like to expound on any of those meetings.
And I'll thank the councillors who were able to get to the Marrow the other day. Hopefully everyone enjoyed getting their COVID stuff and their information on mosquitoes and their and rifled through all the. We didn't set up boards. We actually set up a ring folder where you could actually look at some of the things. But it's pleasing that councillors can, where possible, make themselves available to do those sort of things. And Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and I are looking forward to the Western Division Conference in Cobar, and we're hoping that lots of ministers turn up.
Yeah, those penciled in at the moment Minister for Local Government, Ron Honig, and the Regional Transport and Western New South Wales Minister, Tara Moriarty. So we'll we'll certainly try and get them, have them aside and just have a quiet chat about our concerns relating particularly to their portfolios.
And no guarantee, Mr Mayor, but it looks as though Minister for Water, Rose Jackson, is on the way out there because she's meeting with the mayor from Narromine, and it looks as though she's like almost on the way out. So that should be worthwhile talking to. We hope. Let's hope she's there.
Yeah. So the general manager and I will, just forthcoming meetings will tomorrow week, country mayor's meeting in Sydney. The week after will be at Cobar. The week after that is the alliance, the alliance of Western Council's board meeting.
No, I've got a board meeting of the IPWA on the same day that's got several ministers been going to. So same thing again. I'll try to settle up and practice. I'll watch you teach me how to talk to those ministers, Mr Mayor. Same thing. We've got lots of things to talk to a couple of ministers about. Yeah, just pleasing.
Any further comments, questions regarding the committee? Councillor?
I'd just simply remind everyone that, just looking at it now, the August is going to be a fairly heavy load for committee meetings. So quicker we can get those business papers to us, the more effective we can be at those meetings, I think. Our first one is economic development next week. I think that's a Wednesday. So
Yes.
You hopefully get it Friday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. We're most of the course been written, just that the lady who helps me put the final touches to it, we're working on it tomorrow morning. That's an example, but same with roads, plan, showdown race course, sporting facilities, please.
Yes, point taken, Councillor Brewer. The more time you've got to consider it, read it, then consider it, and then I think the better result we get out of those committees. So, yeah, point taken, absolutely. Thank you, Councillors. Any further comments, questions regarding item 2 of the General Manager's report, just the committee meetings, delegate meetings? Nothing further. Put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried. Item 3 of the General Manager's report pertaining to the works progress report, infrastructure projects. Someone had to move those, and a number of those will again come off the list. So someone have to move the information received and noted. Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Happy to move. Second, Councillor Kinsey. Councillor Jackson.
I move that the information received and noted, and Mayor, General Manager or relevant persons have anything they'd like to expound on, that they should use.
A fair amount of information reporting what happened to the Showground Racecourse, but just Gator's purchased, Rake has purchased, getting fitted together, to work out the process of making sure all the council staff know how to operate and then know how to train people to operate it. Pads for the slab and all the gear for the large new toilet block has been done at the Showground Racecourse. The Pony Club toilet I think is near operational. The large slab leading to the GBS Faulkner Lounge is near complete. We'll tidy up. There's lots of concrete work going on all around the place, with a few local contractors and a little bit of us. Just all trying to make sure we stay within budget, and that the works are of quality. I think because of the slight delay, there will be a delay with the Carter Oval amenities facility building, and we're watching carefully the cricket pitch, which probably will having to use the cricket pitch over at Victoria Oval, and maybe a practice cricket game early in the new year at an opening, which was going to be in October, which probably will be delayed. Turf is starting to look pretty good at Carter Oval. And we do have some prices for exclusion fencing out at the Showground Racecourse that we're trying to analyse, talk to Racing New South Wales, see if they've got any funding to help with the amount, because they're the ones setting the standard. And there's a chance that might be reported to the August council meeting, but that's subject to Racing New South Wales finding some more money. Lots of little things just getting tidied up or suddenly will appear. The art stuff on the 2 toilet blocks is slightly delayed because we're wanting to make sure that the Warren Public Arts Committee curates the final product and is happy with the final product, but the toilets are being used. We're still waiting on confirmation of the $887,500. We've got the money, but we need confirmation that the Office of Local Government will approve using some of that money for that final contribution for that levy project. You want to comment on how you're going with your design? And
yeah, Mr. Mayor, in the background we are doing specifications, getting ready for confirmation of that 887,000 funding from OIG, so that if the confirmation comes, then we'll be ready to go to tender.
Thank you, Councillor Grissom.
Through you, Mayor, just something positive from the Cattleman's Cup the other day. There was terrific positive response on how it all looks in the Faulkner Lounge and the great cement area at the front, coming together really well. Yeah. So well done.
Yes. No small congratulations to you, Councillor Bruce, and your committee, Shire Racecourse Committee. But it's been a process, but it's certainly getting there, and it is a great facility that we should be all very proud of. So, yeah. Councillor Jackson.
I've just had a question regarding Pony Club cross-country facilities, and I'm not sure I'm understanding what's written. It seems to be saying that there was a contractor engaged to complete the cross-country course or improvements to it, but there were issues found with the quality of work, and inspection said that there were rectification was needed. The contractor was asked to provide a report or a consultant report, and somebody called Burong Designs were engaged to do that. Are they the ones building the cross-country course, or are they people coming to remediate the work that wasn't done correctly? Just thinking from a liability perspective, I know this is a fairly important issue, and I just want to understand what it actually means.
It's the standard, not quite quality work, it's the standard of work, and we need the contractor to prove to us that it's up to the appropriate standard, and he's yet to do that.
Gee, Mr. Mayor, is there a reason for the delay? Is he behind? Should we receive that information already, or has he been given time to do it? And
we're waiting. We can only go and drag people while we're waiting for the confirmation that it's to the appropriate standard, and that the Pony Club are happy, and we're still waiting.
Okay, so is, through Mr. Mayor, is that the Pony Club hasn't provided the report, or this contractor?
Contractor hasn't provided the report.
So is there any sort of onus on them, or is there any penalty for them?
No, onus will be on the contractor not being used by the council and for anything else until he can prove that the process has been done right with his previous job. That's where what council has to do.
So through Mr. Bevan, this could just be indefinite then. Is that right?
Council officers are working on the person.
And I just had one other comment, just about I'm hoping it's a typo, otherwise I don't know what it means. Crown Reserves,
Please tell us where it is.
it's the Warren Pony Club toilet facility.
Page.
So it is page 42. Crown Reserves Improvement Fund Program Disabled All Access Toilet Block, Warren Pony Club. It just says in the fourth paragraph, it says, slowly progressing and costing some delays. Should that be causing some delays? Yeah, just want to make sure. Thank you.
All within budget. And as I say, it's a pretty picture out there now. I don't know whether it's operational yet, but pretty close.
Any further comments, questions regarding item 3 of the General Manager report, infrastructure projects? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Move on to item 4 of the General Manager, that being the expression of interest of a vacant community member on the Warren Public Arts Committee. There's a recommendation there. Someone happy to move that recommendation? Councillor Jackson. Second, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mrs. Cernity obviously served this committee extremely well during her term as a councillor and chairperson of this committee, and she's proven herself to be balanced, sound, and certainly has a lot of experience. So I'm very happy to commend her as the chairperson of this committee, very happy to commend her as our additional committee member. And also would like to acknowledge Mr. Lynch, and particularly the design ideas that he had, both as a committee member and subsequent to that, where he did attend meetings, and he did give the committee a lot of guidance from a technical aspect, from an artistic aspect, and I would like to acknowledge that publicly and thank him for that.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions before we put that? In case, take all those in favour, against, carried. Moving on to the reports of the Division Manual of Finance Administration, the first of those being the reconciliation certificate, item 1. Someone happy to move that reconciliation certificate? Councillor Jackson, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Druce. Councillor Jackson.
I just recommend it be received and noted, and any comments that need to be made from the Divisional Manager of Finance that he would make.
I think I touched on it at the last meeting, just in regards to, fortunately, the term deposit access for myself to initiate, authorise those. I've sent the paperwork back to the NAB once, it sort of hasn't gone anywhere. They have two different, so our normal contacts out of Dubbo, they don't handle the investment side of it. So I'm currently in the process of being approved as a term deposit authoriser, I think is what their nominated perspective is. So after that, what you'll notice is we then have more investments held. Basically, is the change. We'll have less money sitting in our unrestricted cash view and more into investments.
But I liked 4.7 and 5.05%. We're working on an average of 4%, 4% for the year, which
yeah. That interest, we were working on what we were working on in the budget, not 4%. We were averaging 4%. So anything above that is a bonus in terms of little things we can do for our community. So that's good. But just a question without notice, and I don't know whether you can answer it for me, Management Finance Administration. An additional 99,000 coming into the trust fund. Can you tell me or us about that?
Yes, I did look at that, and I think that's income that hasn't been receipted correctly. So it's still there. I have to chase up and clarify that. I need to go back to the actual source document, which I can see the money. I'm pretty confident that's what it is, but I have to go back and find the actual remittance advice, dig that out and say for sure shouldn't be there. And then I can take that back out. So yes, that is 1,000 reference. Thank you, Mr.
So that will clarify at our next meeting then?
For sure.
Yeah, thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding item 1 of the Division Management Finance Administration's report? Okay, we'll put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Item 2, statement of rates and annual charges. Someone happy to move that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Kinsey. Second, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Kinsey.
There's recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
just one thing, Council on the prior meeting asked me to have a bit of a look at, where the year and month comparison, the percentage of rates collected looks significantly increased compared to the same month in the prior year. I did actually look into that, and as you can see, it's now back on par. So it literally was just a timing issue in terms of when people were paying rates. So thanks to all the rate rates. And it's a bit in front compared to the prior year, which is good.
Yeah, no, that's very pleasing. Any further comments, questions regarding item 2, Division Manager of Finance Administration's report, reconciliation? Sorry, the statement of rates and annual charges. Nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Item 3, the works progress report pertaining to Finance Administration area. Someone happy to use the information we received and noted there. Thank you. Councillor Whiteley. Second. Councillor Derrick. Councillor Whiteley.
Yeah, I commend the library.
So item 3, Councillor, which is the works progress report, Finance Administration project.
Number 3.
Yeah, you're on 3. Hey, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
I commend that to council, and if the divisional manager wishes to comment on
I'm okay with that. If there's no questions, exactly. I think obviously the library's going over, and it's pleasing to see.
So the 315,000 is not quite enough. I think it's in both reports, because IPM's looking after it with the library manager, and if there's no tenders have closed, analysis happening. Hopefully August might have to be some negotiation. Everything building wise is getting bigger.
Yeah, without saying through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, is there a fallback position on some of the amenities outside, or?
Yeah, and they're still trying to analyse that. That's the thing.
Yeah, right.
So my thing, the priority may well be the building, get that part sorted, and then less work on get the building done. Yeah, as number 1, and then but that'll come back. We'll have some updated information when we've got the tenders have been analysed. Any further questions on item 2, the Division Manager of Finance Administration report? Item 3, Division Manager of Finance Administration's report. Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour, against, carried. Item 4 pertains to the librarian's operations performance report. Someone had to move the recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Second, Councillor Brewer. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate the librarian and her team on the fantastic work they do there, and in particular, I'm really pleased to see the strategic partnership with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. It's actually a fantastic program. And having seen NAPLAN results for this area, I can say literacy is definitely an issue. And so any resource we can have to help address that is great. And I also want to make mention of the Across the Black Soils Plains project, but a fantastic project. That is for our town as well, and to have it then on Borrow Box means that it's accessible to many, many people, you know, the history of our area. So congratulations to the librarian.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson.
Sorry, just one thing that I can think of now. Pam and I actually met and went through her reported items and finances for this current financial year. Part of the conversation was around a proposal from another council to join this particular Northwest Library side of things. So it's just in the early part of it, but I think they were formerly or currently part of the library item that runs out of Dubbo. And so we may even have some sort of increased benefit and member and positive view of that. It seems to be that that Northwest Library Service provides more benefit and whatnot compared to other libraries, which is interesting. And less cost, I believe. They do really well, you know, the library managing all of that space.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions on item 4? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to the reports of the Major Engineering Services. The first of those being the Works Progress Report. Someone happy to move the recommendation there? Councillor Whiteley, happy to move. Second, Councillor Bruce. Councillor Whiteley.
Yeah, I commend this to council. It's very detailed, and I commend the divisional manager for the way he's put this out.
I'd also like to say that this is a very comprehensive report. Thank you to Division Manager Engineering Services. This really makes it something that we can read and understand and get some detail from. It's certainly a better report than we've been receiving previously. And I'm thanking for the work that's gone into this, because it's really quite meaningful now. The other wasn't meaningful, but this is a step up. So yeah, no, congratulations. Very, very, very good, very great. You know, when you start counting the number of potholes that have been filled, I'm very impressed. Are they ticking a box, are they? Pothole number 59. It's very good, very good.
Unfortunately, wet weather affected the engineering department. There's quite a lot of guideposts.
Yeah.
Also congratulate the developer, engineer over this, and note that we advertising or putting that out into the new local media. With roads and what's happening with roads and the political things that need to happen in roads, the way we can express what we are doing and what we are attempting to do, and the system is, especially like last Saturday, it's appreciated when people know what we're trying to do. And documents like this and information that we put out is very, very good.
Councillor Drews.
Just a question through there, just to refresh my memory. The bushfire hazard reduction, that money's been spent for this financial year, so does that just tick over again and starts next year? So
Divisional Manager Finance and Station to midnight, a couple of nights, putting in the new hazard reduction program, which I think 360.
Off the top of my head, it was somewhere around that, yep.
So we have to wait for confirmation.
Okay.
I can give you
So what happens is it gets charged, a lot of it gets charged to, say, our sealed road network until that comes, and that's where it comes off. It means more money for our roads at the end, but lots of, that's why Drive Anywhere, our roadside verges are much better mode than most.
Just asking the question, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting summer.
Actually, that's right. And I did mention it, that finance administration has been demonstrating to us how difficult it is to apply for this funding. It's not something that's easy to get done, and I would just like to thank him for spending the time to get that sorted, because I know he was working pretty hard to try and get a grasp of how it all works. It's all a bit of a difficult process to get it sorted. So if we're successful, that's going to be really worthwhile. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just, if you'd like a bit more detail, we had funding approved for 285,000 roughly, 2022-23, which was fully expended. We got all of that, and there was actually, I think off the top of my head, it was an additional, in Q3 when I did the claim, there was an additional 30-something thousand that we received over what we were approved for, where certain roadsides incurred more expense than what was budgeted. So fortunately, they still had money in the bank and they paid us that. Yes. So
So really it was like 325,000 instead of 285. Which is really good.
yeah. So it was a difficult process purely because the body are changing their system and really wanting to take control of it a bit better, I believe, to hold people against their funding guidelines particularly. So there are certain things as far as splitting an asset protection zone is what it's called, so around townships and any other assets we want to protect. My feeling is that a lot of councils may be just putting in and claiming their town streets, type mowing and whatnot as bushfire hazard reduction, which isn't the intention of the funding. So I have to review all of those areas and remap them and put them through as a whole new proposal to them. Their portal is quite cumbersome and time consuming. And for somebody like me who's never looked at that before, it was even more time consuming. But they've been great. They assisted me out of hours, and when they were on leave, they were fantastic stuff, so we got it over the line. In this current 2023-24 year, the put forward funding request was for a value of 326,500. I did mention to them, in terms of being able to map all the roads, so taking what we had in prior financial year to the new regime, I wasn't able to get all of them mapped in the time frame that I had. So the relevance of that is the system changed. So we had all these wonderful lines following all the roads drawn. If they crossed over each other, I had to go and remap them and make sure that they didn't actually intersect. And some of the roads I would have had to put, northern, northwestern, southern, kind of just chop and change them all around. I just didn't have the luxury of time to do it. It's a lot of work to go and do that. So they were the smaller kind of, so one example might have been 5,000 for the year. Another one may have been a bit more. I factored that into the other roads though. We do have the ability to then adjust and rehash them later on. So I will be able to put those proposals for those individual roads in as we go through the year in any given quarter. But yeah, overall we got there.
Just one further question to the Division Manager of Engineering Services. On, say, AGRN 960, we see that on page 2. So we see variations in our budget and expenditure, some under, some over. Are we held, we can only spend a particular amount in a particular area, or is that a lump sum that we can sort of juggle a little bit in terms of the funding for flood damage?
Mr. Mayor, there are particular budgets, specific budgets for specific roads.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and those budgets for those specific roads are for specific sections on the road.
Yes.
So, we can't quite interpret the figures. We have to spend what's available for each.
Yeah, and so where we've gone over, that then comes out of our maintenance budget.
Yeah, but in saying that, some of those expenditure figures, were misallocated. A lot of numbers were used,
Right.
so we try to sort that out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding item 1 of the Division Manager of Engineering Services report? Nothing further. With that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 2, Division Manager of Engineering Services report, works progress pertaining to town services. Someone is happy to move the recommendation there. Councillor Whiteley is happy to move. Second, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Whiteley.
Yeah, I move the report and ask the division manager if he's got any comments or any questions from council.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Councillor Drews, sorry.
Through you, Mayor, I've had a couple of residents in the Gunning Bar estate approach me to just ask, they're having issues during the day with the water pressure, daytime. They're just wondering what's happening with it. Like say if they're showering, the water pressure in the shower during the day is increased.
So it's not river water, it's bore.
Yes. And they just wanted me to ask a question about that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that on board.
So through you, Mayor, just another question. I don't know if this is the right area to ask. Just with the airport, there's kangaroos out there. How is it inspected every day? Is this where I can ask this question in town services?
Councillor, so it's as good as anywhere, I think, Councillor Drews.
So just wondering, is the fence inspected? I'm assuming they're coming from that scrubby area. Yeah, there's kangaroos sitting out sunning themselves on the airstrip. So just, has that been inspected?
Yes, it is, and we've been attempting to actually talk to the National Parks and Wildlife Service about the problem, and that's protected species.
But that fence line, does that get checked?
That particular practice is jumping really well.
Oh, yeah, no, not under the skirt here.
And love it staying out there. We're doubly protected.
With the hook.
And yeah, it's a problem that operationally we're attempting to manage.
Thank you.
Councillors, you will note that the spare ball pumps for each of the balls are on hand now. So at least if we have a problem there, it can be dealt with fairly quickly in terms of ball pumps. And we'll take on board Councillor Higgins' question about that river pumps and get back to him on that. But that's sort of at least another thing kicked off for summer. The balls again. Yeah, we have a failure, we can get it dealt with fairly quickly. Any further on item 2 of the Division Manager Engineering Services report? Nothing further. With that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 3, work progress report contains the fleet in the workshop. Someone happy to move that information received and noted. Councillor Derrick happy to move. Second. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no questions. Happy to move the recommendation.
General Manager, anything you want to draw our attention to in terms of the workshop of the fleet?
No, Something I'll just tell councillors at morning tea.
Right.
Nothing wrong.
Any comments, questions regarding the workshop? Then put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Moving on to, excuse me, reports to the health and development, first of those being the development application approvals, noting Councillor Derrick's noted an interest. And it's leaving the meeting. Someone happy to move item one of the manager of development, Councillor Bruce, second Councillor Brewer. Councillor Bruce.
I'm just moving the recommendation, thank you.
Anything further on those development applications? Nothing further, put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Might just start to get done. Councillor Derrick. Noting Councillor Derrick's re-entered the meeting. Moving on to item two, the Native Health and Development Services, work progress report pertaining to health and development services. I'm happy to move that information. Received and noted. Thank you, Councillor Kinsey, happy to move. Second. Councillor Bruce, sorry, do I see your hand go, Councillor Bruce?
You did.
I did, that's right.
I wasn't looking, I was looking
there. Thank you, Councillor Kinsey.
And I just made the recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
Any further comments, questions? Being those put that, all those in favour? Yes, carried. Moving on to item 10, there are no notes of motion, there are no questions with notice. Item 11, and I believe we should have a matter that you want to
I have a matter of urgency for you to consider. We have been working on doing the analysis and work with VRD Design and Construction Private Limited in relation to the tender or rescoped work as per what the Airport Committee recommended, and to make sure that things progress as soon as possible. I have a matter of urgency, which is a report progressing the matter. May I have your permission to make sure things move quickly?
Yes, certainly.
A report concerning the Warren Airport project.
Thank you.
Councillor Derrick, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Derrick, you
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did declare an interest, Julie, and I will propose it.
Thank you for that. Just noting that Councillor Derrick is leading the meeting. Councillor, just take a minute to read the recommendation there. Pertaining to the information of the resolution passed earlier in the meeting regarding the construction of the airport terminal building.
The two tables at the back are confidential.
So, Joe, this covers both the terminal building and the drainage works associated
And
with
extra works.
Yeah.
And a little bit of up and down with those extra works. There's less drainage works. There's only about 30 metres or so that needs to be stopped from being open earth drain. So that's been reduced. Hence why that just over $20,000 increase because proportionally smaller buildings not quite proportional to go and build it from a larger building and this will need it.
No matter what. Yeah.
So it's, after some advice from airport committee members, officers looked a bit more closely at some of the drainage stuff and have reduced that.
So probably to get us in order, probably in time to move the recommendation, then we can have some discussion if we need to modify the recommendation, and then we can. Councillor Brewer, you happy to move? Yep. Second, Councillor Kinsey. Councillor Brewer, you first, have you got some?
So if I understand this correctly, Mr Mayor, we've already committed the funds in the previous resolution.
Yes.
This provides detail and authority for the General Manager to proceed.
Yes.
Yep, I'm happy with the recommendation, thank you. Do we need to have para 2 in there then? Since we've already resolved it?
No problem having this, it's almost the same, it doesn't matter. Okay.
I think we discussed, Councillor Brewer, I think we discussed the terminal building and the airport committee have had the opportunity to come up with the plan that's in front of us there. They're confident that that's the plan that's required. I was going to defer to potentially Councillor White for any comments on the drainage situation in that you're in that vicinity as a landholder, and have a degree of expertise in
The drainage that's costed here is the drainage for just around the terminal area, is it?
No, it's both the extra drainage and pump setup.
Yeah.
As well as extra, more open earth drain stays there near, near the, taxiway, or sorry, near.
Yeah, the taxiway and around the area.
Yeah.
This is, the pump set up at the bottom, with capacity. So the capacities and the amount of water that was to be moved is that being counted?
That's correct. Within reason, and it means that the initial design was going to be there for ages, pumping. It would be a couple of days. If we had a 300mm rainstorm, it'd take a few days to pump out.
For the initial one, I worked it out to take 3/4 of a year. I get it. I understand. If the figures have been done right, I appreciate it. It's an unfortunate position, and as long as the drainage will extract the water from the actual runway, the area below the one road can be ponded in time, as long as it,
within reasonable time.
yeah, that's my only comment.
Let's get a little bit of detail on the drainage. So the drainage, does this buy us a diesel pump asset, or this is, so it will, okay, so in amongst all of that, and that will reside at the airport somewhere?
It's a protected spot.
So what stops the drainage, and I understand it's quite flat down there, so it's going to drain into Sandy Creek from the back of the airport. So what's stopping the Sandy Creek coming back up that drain when it's flooded?
Oh, it'll be made sure it doesn't come back that way, but what we'll do is Sandy Creek will come around into the airport like it did anyway.
So we don't have a gate in there or anything?
Oh, we'll have a setup where you can't come back the other way, but overland Sandy Creek eventually comes back towards the airport.
Well, it does, yeah.
Along the table drain of the highway.
That's right.
Right, so you have a table drain that's 1/2 metre deep to get that water to run away. That'll come back up, you think, so. You've already said there's going to be a gate in there to stop that.
It'll be some sort of valve set up where it doesn't allow it to come back the other way.
Right.
The flooding, the egress of flood water into the airport is a 1 in 25-year event. Even last time it didn't do it. But the flood we've just had, the egress into the airport, the water that was in the airport was local water, not.
Sure. Mr. Mayor, my point is that we're going to drain it away, which means we have to drop the level all the way to Sandy Creek. So that,
No, it's pumped over the hill.
In a normal, say the March 2021 flood out there, it was there for some time. That will take 2 or 3 days to pump away instead of staying there for 3 months.
sure.
March 21, where there's no.
That was a local rain event. If you're riverine flooding scenario, the gentleman is quite right, it backs up between the railway line and the, but to come over to the NIS channel is a rare occurrence in my opinion since 1990. But the major 100mm rain events are the ones that causing the drama.
Okay, councillor,
The legalities, sorry, Mr. Mayor, the legalities of pumping into the Sandy Creek.
Oh, that'll be sorted out hopefully by an ex-Public Works Authority guy talking to Water New South Wales, should be possible.
There is, you know, it's politically taking runoff from airports. Obviously, we haven't had PFAS out there, but you know, some bureaucrat are probably going to bring that up.
I think we can take that notice as something to be dealt with. Councillor White, Councillor Kinsey.
Surely when we pump the water off on the legalities, pump the water off over in the Sandy Creek, we're actually protecting the Oxley Highway, the road and the airport.
And
It is water off.
continuing to give water to the Murray Darling Basin.
How many winners do you want? So when you actually talk to these people about the legalities of getting to Sandy Creek, it should make it very obvious that we're trying to protect three different sets of assets.
Yeah.
And we're going over, I mean, a structure into the scheme. All the way we go, yeah.
And it's just too expensive not to pump.
Oh, we have to pump it. It has to be pumped.
That's purely for money or just?
Purely practical, that you need 10 to 15 megalitres a day, and anything like a solar pump or, yeah, 0.3 of a megalitre a day.
It's in the basin. The only way out to the water is evaporation or into the ground or pump it out. One takes 6 months. The access to the pumping site would have to be engineered to the safety. Very deadly sort of dirt.
Absolutely.
As we've seen, council officers have found.
A couple of things bombed out here, right?
There have been in a number of, yes. Struggles there, yes. Councillor, is there any further comments, questions on this matter of urgency? What it does is gives the proposed Bill the time to start to organise his people a month in advance of what we would be doing otherwise. So we've made the decision to commit the funds. Now it's just expediting that, and it's been held up for a period of time with a number of things needing to be overcome. So
It will allow the contractor to prepare himself.
yeah, ready to go. Yeah, he knows where he is. Any further comments, questions regarding this matter of urgency? Nothing further to put this. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Derrick to the re-enter the meeting. So we'll move on to the confidential matters. We need a resolution to proceed into committee of the whole council. And there's a second resolution required to proceed the press in the public for this deliberation. So if someone, councillor, can move that way, Councillor Taylor and Councillor Brewer.
Just on the second page of that piece of paper, it should say general manager and not, it should say the manager, divisional manager, finance administration services. Just
I'll put those two motions. I'll put those two together. Happy to, no discussion required, I believe. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
10:20, we say good day, bye.
Thank you for your attendance. Always good to read it in the paper, what you've written, so. Grab some morning tea as you go. Councillor, you all have the business paper in front of you for the committee of the whole program. We just have to turn the recording off, General Manager. Thank you, General Manager. Councillors Taylor and Brewer moved us out of committee of the whole closed council back into open council meeting, so we will resume that open council meeting. Council, we have a motion passed within the committee of the whole closed council, but now we move into the arena of the ordinary council meeting. That can be read out by the general manager, and I'll ask for them for a mover and a seconder for that motion.
The recommendation from the committee of the whole is that the information provided in relation to the council banking facility. One, the information provided be considered in determining if council will elect to make use of the Commonwealth Bank of Australia for all future banking facility requirements, products or services as is needed across the business function of council. Two, discretionary ability is granted to the Mayor, General Manager and Divisional Manager of Finance Administration for final decision as to whether the Commonwealth Bank of Australia banking facilities will be engaged and utilised to service the business functions of council in the future. Three, the discretionary ability granted to the Mayor, General Manager and Divisional Manager of Finance Administration will be decided upon with reference to the estimated cost of service and efficiency gain to service the business functions of council in the future. And four, the Mayor and General Manager are authorised to sign and seal council for all related documentation for this matter as required into the future.
There's the recommendation. His name is to the committee of the whole closed council. I wonder, Councillor Whiteley and Councillor Jackson as the movers in the committee of the whole closed council. Are you happy to move and second that motion? Yes. Councillors, any further comments, questions, discussion before we put that? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, yes. That concludes our business for the July meeting of Warren Council. Thank you for attendance and declare the meeting closed.